Well, welcome back to Design to Win. I am so very glad that you're here with me today. This is one of those conversations that comes just at the right time this week. We are nearing the end of the school year, and for many students and parents and teachers, this is not the easiest season of the year. This is the time when motivation starts to drop. Assignments begin piling up and become missing. Energy is very low, and it can feel very much like you're just trying to make it to the finish line. And boy, do I remember those days. So today I thought it was very important that we talk about how to survive the end of the school year. And not just survive, but to finish strong. So we're going to walk through some things today. We're going to walk through 4 topics: missing assignments, the feeling of burnout, how to stay motivated from this point out, and just how to regroup and feel successful finishing out the school year. I'm also going to share a tool that I have created that you can really help you in this season. So let's just take a breath and let's just walk through all this together. So let's just start with the truth. What many students are experiencing right now isn't laziness. It's just fatigue. It's the end of the year. We've gotten this far. Everybody's tired. The teachers are tired. Parents are tired. Students are tired. So, they've all been going for months. They are, mentally, emotionally, academically, and now their brain is tired. The teachers are tired. Parents are tired. And especially for the students, they have struggled with focus, those that are having learning differences or just need more structure. This part of the year can especially feel the most overwhelming of all. And what the parents are often seeing, and some of you parents out there, you feel like your kids may be procrastinating, and they probably are, or the avoidance thing has come up and they just completely avoid it, or just they flat don't have any effort right now. They lack great motivation at this point. It's just really actually that they are overwhelmed and mentally exhausted. So the first shift we need to make is this. We need to stop asking, why aren't they doing it? And we need to start asking, what's making this feel too big for them right now? Because when something feels too big, the brain just shuts down. And parents out there, we feel that way. Trust me, the teachers feel that way. They feel a little overwhelmed with trying to get grades done and finish out the school year with the curriculum, and did they get it all done and get it all in, and thinking about final year tests and exams and yada yada. So everybody's feeling a little overwhelmed and stressed right now. But aside from that, let's also talk about one of the biggest stress points that's going on right now. And I've seen this many, many times, and I've worked with many students this time of the year. And the biggest thing is missing assignments. We get to this point in the year and they feel like they're overwhelmed and they've gotten behind with assignments and haven't gotten them turned in. And then this is where the students get stuck. They know that they're behind, and they know that it really matters to get the work turned in, but the list that they have to get turned in can become very overwhelming, and they just don't know where to begin. So what do? They just avoid it. Not because they don't care, and they may say they don't care, but it's just because they don't know where to start. So what we need to do from here is this is where we want to try and shift their mindset. We want to move them from feeling overwhelmed and just not motivated and avoiding things to having some clarity. So, parents, this would be a good time to say things like, well, instead of your child saying, I have so much missing work, or you parents saying, you have so much missing work, we need to say things like, let me find out exactly what is missing. Take the time to write it down, list it out, and make it visible. Making a visual chart in front of your face to help your child do this will help so much. Because it's, for one thing, it's not staying in your mind and trying to wrestle in your head and your child's head of this big picture and this overwhelm. You're getting it on a piece of paper and it's helping you to get the big picture without it feeling so overwhelmed. So when we do put it down on a piece of paper, it becomes a little bit more manageable. You can see where you can do it one step at a time. So here's the key. Just start with one assignment. Don't try to do 5 at a time or 3 at a time. Just do 1 at a time. Complete that one assignment and move on. Because once you complete one assignment, it makes you have a little bit more confidence in yourself and your ability to get it all done. And once the confidence starts to grow, then what happens is that you start feeling like, oh, maybe I can do this and I can get this done. And that shift is very, very powerful, and I have seen it many times. So let's talk about the third thing that I mentioned at the very beginning of the episode. Let's talk about burnout. Burnout doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it just looks like, I don't feel like doing anything. And you get distracted very easily. Your child gets distracted very easily. And sitting down to do work and you just can't get started. And then the frustration, the quick frustration, the automatic frustration when you realize you've got homework or more work to go home and do after you've been at school all day long. Well, here's something important I want you to understand. You cannot approach the end of the year the same way you approach the beginning of the year. This is something I don't think people think about and realize. This is a different season of the year. This is where we need intentional reset strategies because we need to finish strong. So we have to tackle it in a different way. So that might look like something like working in shorter time blocks. And I've mentioned this several times before, where you just study for 15 minutes at a time and then go back to what you're working on. Take a breath, go for a walk, play a game, do something different than schoolwork. Take a 15 to 20 minute break and then go back to it. And that's all part of, well, like I said, change your environment, go to a different room. You could even do something creative, or I've had students that have just taken the time to do a puzzle, an actual puzzle, or play puzzle games online. Something that's just distracting for a little bit as far as taking your mind off of what you're doing and then going back to it. Your brain sometimes needs something new to come back and re-engage. So that's why I am making this suggestion. It's something that I have seen and done with students and my own children over the years. This really does help, especially for students who don't thrive in traditional school learning environments. And, it's not about pushing harder. I think we think that you have to push harder and push harder and push through it. But it's really not about that. It's working smarter. is really the key, is working smarter. So the last thing I want to talk about is motivation. At this point in the year, obviously, we've kind of covered that already, that motivation is low. And everybody's waiting to feel that motivation to get started. But they're going to be waiting for a very long time because it's very hard at this time of the year to feel motivated when you feel all this overwhelm of missing assignments, or I have a chunk of stuff that I've got to get done just to get through to May. So in order to help with the motivation issue, we want to try to build some structure and just be disciplined to just get it done. Because the reality is your motivation is going to come and go. But the structure and having a disciplined structure will just help you to move forward. So some simple systems that you can create and do would be to make sure you're writing down all of your assignments. And we talked about that previously in the episode. Look at the big picture of all the assignments you have to do. Kind of keep a tally sheet of the ones that you've gotten done, the ones you haven't gotten done. And then checking off your work as you get it done so that you can visually see the progress that you're making. That helps parents to know you're getting your stuff done. It helps you as a student to make sure that you're getting your stuff done, but it gives you a lot more confidence in yourself and being able to do that. Trust me, most of us, when we see what we've already accomplished, it makes us feel like we can accomplish the rest. It just changes how we feel about ourselves, and it gives a sense of control again over the whole situation. And right now, that's what a lot of students feel like they're missing, is not being in control of too much near the end of the school year. So the last part that I want to talk about is kind of finding a way to regroup to finish successfully by the end of the school year. So just remember, it's never too late. I've heard students and parents say that, well, it's too late. Well, we're in April and we still got quite a few weeks left of school, so it's never too late to be able to pull it back up and to finish off strong. Even though you have missing assignments or your grades aren't where you want them to be and things feel very behind and overwhelmed, it's never too late to turn it around. A strong finish doesn't require perfection. It just requires some intentional action, small, consistent steps, and just your decision and your parents' decision to just keep with it and moving forward. This is where parents can shift their pressure sometimes on our kids. We put a lot of pressure on them because we're pushing them to get things done. But parents, I think that this is a time when you need to really become in partnership with your kids to help them to make a plan to move forward and encourage them and let them go one step at a time to get it done. So you could try saying things like, let's pick one thing and do it together. Or you could ask your kids, what's one step we can do today? Because, small wins lead to big results. Well, now I want to quickly share with you something that I created from all the years of experience of working with students. Because I kept seeing the same problem over and over again, which is a lot of what we've discussed today. Not just at the end of the year, but throughout the whole year. I've seen students who were failing because they weren't capable. Well, students weren't failing because it wasn't because they weren't capable. It's just because they were struggling because they didn't have a good system in place. They were trying to keep up with all these different things in different places. They didn't have a clear place to organize their assignments or a way to track what was due or just a structure to follow up. So I created a school planner that is designed to help with these things. This planner helps students keep everything in one place. It breaks things down in different steps to stay organized, and it helps them to actually see what needs to get done. It has everything in one place. It has student notes and a section for them to write down all of their assignments and to do a week at a glance. And it has all of that stuff in one place. And this helps kids, especially kids with learning differences that struggle with ADHD, dyslexia, or autism, or other things. But trust me, this kind of structure is life-changing. I have seen it over and over again. Now, here's what I want you to hear from me. This planner is not just for next year because we're at the end of the school year. This is for right now because this planner can help you regroup what's left of the year and create a plan to finish strong. And it will help you build some good habits to carry into the next school year. I call it a reset tool. And it's not dated, so you can use it for the end of this year and then use it for next year. So as I close the podcast today, I want to remind you and your children that they are not behind and they're not going to be stuck where they're at right now. They and you are just in a moment where you just need a reset to help change everything. And sometimes the strongest finish that we have and the most successful one comes from a hard season and a hard time to walk through, and that's okay. And parents out there, you know what I'm talking about. We have all been in that place sometime in our life. So I hope this episode has touched a lot of you. It has helped give you a deep breath of some kind to be able to regroup and look at things in the big picture. And if this episode has helped you to understand your child a little bit more and maybe feel a little bit more equipped to help them to follow through with the school year to be successful, I would love for you to follow this podcast and share it with others so that they can get information and that will help them and their child, not only for the end of the school year, but going into the next school year. So be sure and subscribe to the podcast so that you won't miss any of the great information that we are putting out there. And if you're ready to help your student get organized and reduce overwhelm and finish the school year strong, be sure to check out the planner. You can check it out on my website, and I will be putting a link in the podcast for you to check out the link to purchasing the planner on Amazon. I'm so glad to get that in the hands of everyone who would like to be able to use it. So thank you for being here today. I'm so glad that you were here with me. Please be blessed. Have an amazing and wonderful blessed Easter. And remember, you were designed to win.